Hey YouTube, what's up? This is your good friend Fragments of Memory, aka the Armchair Philosopher. Now, some of what I'm going to be presenting is slightly old, but a while back here in St. Louis, Missouri, in a place called the Delmar Loop, there was some shootings that went down in the Delmar Loop. Now, the Delmar Loop is situated so part of it is in St. Louis City, the other part is in University City, which is a part of St. Louis County, and Skinker Street or Road is the dividing line between the Delmar Loop and, or excuse me, the Delmar Loop in University City and the Delmar Loop in the St. Louis City proper, and of course University City. So anyway, I say all this to say that there's been a great influx of youth coming down to the Delmar Loop, and a lot of them are not from St. Louis County, but from St. Louis City, and namely, these areas are predominantly impoverished, predominantly black, and you have a lot of the black youth running down there rambunctious. And I've discussed this in past videos, but there was a shooting in the Loop maybe a while back. And what basically happened is in University City, there was a curfew for people 16 and under. And that curfew began at 9 o'clock on Saturday night. Well, all they did was or it was 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something like that. And all they did was just go across the street to the St. Louis side where the curfew was midnight. So these young people basically caused the ruckus in University City and then kind of brought more ruckus on the city side. Well, I'm giving you the background just to talk about black youth. And I have noticed that much of our black youth seem to be wayward, seem to be misguided. And from my understanding of that, it's just the fact that we do live in a generation now where we have a lot of single mothers. We have no father figures in the household. And we're really seeing it take its toll. And unfortunately, the television is raising the children. Unfortunately, the peer groups are raising the children. Unfortunately, the music industry is raising the children. So there is no actual parenting going on. In many of these cases, I can't speak for all, but I can say that there is a great deal. There is a factor there. And then you have these young people going out in the streets and not knowing how to act. And unfortunately, they're in an area that, well, let's face it, and I don't want to make everything a black versus white issue, but many a time these white people are very much like, I don't like, they already have certain prejudices against blacks. And then when these black youth act up and clown, that gives them more ammunition to not like black people. Or it merely reinforces certain prejudices already had. And I'm of the opinion, don't give anyone the weapon to kill you with or shoot you with if you can help it. And I was just having a conversation today with a friend of mine. If people would just stop having sex, we'd be all right because, and he said that's not going to happen. And I'm like, yes, that's true. But unfortunately, everybody wants sex, but nobody wants to pay the consequences. Now, I'm someone that does believe, hey, wait till you're married and have sex. However, I understand that this is not a reality. People aren't doing that. In fact, people are just going around having sex. And I'm certainly surprised that even in the age of sexually transmitted diseases, or that we have a knowledge of sexual transmitted diseases and a knowledge of the HIV virus, we have way too many people just still out here having sex and then not wrapping it up and then not relying on birth control. They're just out here just having sex, just doing the deed and then not caring, oh, well, I've got a baby now. And unfortunately, the youth suffer. And now my videos are not really here to rant about how, people are being irresponsible with sex or how youth are bad, but I do see that our youth are in trouble. And I could probably talk about this subject until I'm blue in the face, but I thought I just wanted to react to this because it was just like, it's horrifying. And unfortunately, no one cares that they're hurting other people. Unfortunately, we've let our selfishness take control of us to the point where I want to get mines, but it seems I have to get mine at the expense of someone else's, which is really messed up. Um, I also find that too often youth have a habit of just running the streets. And I can remember growing up at 13, 14, even 15 and 16. I couldn't just be out running the streets. I couldn't just be out with my boys sitting on a corner. I had to, I mean, I can hang with my boys, but I had to be home at a certain time, or I had to make a phone call and say, hey, I'm going to be here doing X, Y, Z. I couldn't just be out running the streets with my boys. And unfortunately, too, how you dress is how you're perceived. I mean, I see too many times where you got these young guys, they sag their jeans where you see their underwear and they wear locks in their hair. Now, I remember at a point when a brother wore locks, he was an Afrocentric, conscious type of brother. Well, now it's these little Wayne gold teeth wearing cats who want to be gangster, quote unquote. The thug culture is being glorified. I'm personally not a fan of that culture. And I don't want to throw black people under the bus, but I do feel like we can't keep putting the blame all on the white man all the time. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for what has been done to black people in these United States of America. But I can't keep throwing the white man out every time something goes down. At what point do I, as a black man, take responsibility? At what point do any of us take responsibility and say, look, maybe I need to not hang on the corner with my boys all the time. Maybe I need to not. Maybe I need to not disrespect the people around me. I'm a firm believer in the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do that. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Don't show disrespect, but then try to justify the disrespect that you're showing. And unfortunately, that's prevalent, especially in the black community. I can't speak to other communities, but I can speak to my community. Well, that's my 2 cents. Over and out.